As the last visitor exited the National Museum of Cairo, Omar crouched in a shadowed alleyway nearby. He tapped through his phone, reviewing blueprints and surveillance footage he had studied for months. The prize, the Queen's Glory, a painting of immense beauty and value. He adjusted his mask and muttered to himself, "Tonight, it's mine." With a swift swipe of a counterfeit keycard, Omar slipped inside the museum. The hallways were silent, and the faint glow of emergency lights cast eerie shadows across the ancient statues and artifacts. Omar moved quickly but carefully, his every step calculated to avoid creaking tiles and hidden motion sensors. He reached the control room, where he could disable the security cameras. Slipping inside, Omar paused to hear the hum of the system, only for his stomach to drop as footsteps echoed down the hall. A night guard on his rounds. Omar ducked behind a console, heart pounding, as the guard shuffled past, muttering about the late shift. When the coast was clear, Omar deactivated the cameras. One less obstacle, he thought. He continued toward the gallery where the Queen's Glory was displayed. Omar took a deep breath. There it was, hung behind a layer of glass, framed in gold, and protected by motion sensors, which were notoriously sensitive. He used a thermal imaging device to identify the sensors and took out a small, round mirror, carefully positioning it to fool the sensor into thinking the room was empty. The moment of truth had arrived. With a small diamond cutter, Omar etched a circle into the glass and lifted it free without a sound. He reached in with gloved hands, gently pulling the Queen's Glory out. Rolling the canvas carefully, he stowed it in a slim, protective cylinder he'd brought specifically for this mission. Every move was deliberate. There was no room for mistakes. As Omar turned to exit, he heard a faint click, a sensor he hadn't accounted for. The room filled with a red glow as the alarm blared. Without hesitation, he sprinted back down the hallway, his path carefully mapped out. But as he rounded the corner, 2 guards blocked the exit. With a quick sidestep, he leapt onto a display case and used it to propel himself up to an emergency ladder leading to the roof. Omar emerged onto the rooftop, Cairo's lights twinkling beneath him. He heard the guards shouting from below and saw flashlights cutting through the night. But Omar was swift. He leapt across rooftops, his grip sure as he navigated the precarious edges. His path led him to a fire escape, where he descended into a narrow alley, blending back into the city. Just before dawn, Omar met with his client at a deserted cafe along the Nile. He unrolled the Queen's Glory for inspection, the faint sunlight catching the painting's gold leaf details. The client nodded approvingly and handed over a leather pouch heavy with cash. Omar slipped away, the stolen masterpiece now out of his hands and his mind already on his next heist. Omar walked into the bustling streets of Cairo, another shadow among many. But he knew he was unmatched. A ghost who would be remembered only by the empty spaces he left behind.